Rewiring your mindset begins with the conscious decision to observe your thoughts, because everything you achieve or fail to achieve in life starts in the mind. Most people operate unconsciously, allowing habitual, negative, or limiting thoughts to dictate their actions, their emotions, and ultimately their results. The first habit of a high-performing, growth-focused mind is awareness, the deliberate practice of noticing not just what you think, but how you think. This awareness is not passive, it requires honesty and discipline. You start to see patterns, the repetitive thoughts that keep you stuck, the automatic judgments that lead to hesitation, and the self-sabotaging beliefs that quietly control your decisions. By simply observing without judgment, you create the possibility of change. You begin to notice that thoughts are not facts, that discomfort does not have to equal failure, and that small mental shifts, practiced daily, accumulate into profound transformation. Awareness is the foundation on which all other habits of mental rewiring are built because you cannot change what you do not recognize. 2. The second habit is intentional gratitude, which rewires your brain to focus on opportunity and abundance rather than lack and limitation. When you actively practice gratitude, you begin to notice the good that exists in your life, no matter how small, and your brain starts to create pathways that favor positive thinking. This is not a casual acknowledgement but a deliberate, structured practice, reflecting on your wins, appreciating the lessons and challenges, and recognizing the value in everyday experiences. Over time, gratitude changes how you perceive the world. Obstacles become opportunities for growth, setbacks become lessons rather than failures, and fear loses its grip because your attention has been redirected toward possibility instead of limitation. Gratitude also reshapes emotional resilience, because a mind trained to see abundance refuses to be enslaved by negativity or comparison. This habit does more than lift mood, it rewires neural pathways, strengthens mental focus, and creates a foundation for sustained personal growth. 3. The third habit is intentional journaling, which serves as both a mirror and a roadmap for mental transformation. When you put your thoughts, fears, goals, and reflections on paper, you externalize the invisible patterns that otherwise control your mind. Journaling allows you to question limiting beliefs, track progress, celebrate wins, and process emotions that might otherwise cause internal chaos. The habit is powerful not only because it creates clarity, but because it forces accountability. Writing "I will do this" transforms intention into a form of commitment that your brain takes seriously. Over weeks, months, and years, consistent journaling transforms reactive thinking into proactive thinking. You no longer drift through life responding to impulses and circumstances. Instead, you navigate consciously, guided by your own carefully considered priorities and reflections. This habit is particularly transformative for mindset rewiring because it translates abstract thoughts into tangible patterns, making growth measurable and intentional. 4. The fourth habit is disciplined focus, the ability to direct attention toward what truly matters despite the endless distractions of modern life. Your mind is constantly bombarded by notifications, noise, and unnecessary input, which fragment attention and reinforce shallow thinking. Practicing disciplined focus involves intentionally creating blocks of time where you immerse yourself in meaningful, high-value tasks while eliminating all external and internal distractions. This is not a one-time effort. It is a repeated, deliberate practice that teaches your brain to prioritize long-term growth over immediate pleasure. The habit of focus strengthens neural pathways associated with sustained attention, problem-solving, and productivity. Over time, your mind becomes sharper, more capable of deep work, and less vulnerable to emotional turbulence caused by external chaos. Focus is not just about efficiency, it is about developing a mental environment where positive, growth-oriented habits can thrive naturally. 5. The fifth habit is proactive learning, which means making continuous education and self-improvement a daily priority rather than an occasional activity. Your mindset will remain limited if you allow stagnation to persist. Every day, you can choose to read, watch, listen, or practice something that expands your skills, knowledge, or emotional intelligence. Proactive learning rewires the brain because it creates new neural connections, strengthens cognitive flexibility, and builds confidence. It also shifts your internal narrative from one of scarcity to one of possibility, because each skill acquired or insight gained reminds your mind that growth is always within reach. The act of learning consistently teaches humility and curiosity, two mental states that prevent rigidity, closed-mindedness, and mental complacency. This habit ensures that your mindset is evolving, adaptable, and ready to seize opportunities instead of being trapped by outdated beliefs or old patterns of thought. 6. The sixth habit is embracing discomfort, the conscious practice of stepping beyond your comfort zone to rewire your brain for resilience and courage. Change requires effort, and effort is inherently uncomfortable. Many people retreat at the first sign of difficulty, reinforcing neural pathways that favor avoidance, fear, and inertia. By deliberately taking on challenges that stretch your abilities, whether through public speaking, difficult conversations, physical exertion, or confronting personal fears, you teach your mind that growth exists on the other side of resistance. Over time, embracing discomfort strengthens your ability to tolerate uncertainty, reduces anxiety about failure, and rewires your mental circuitry to associate risk with opportunity instead of threat. This habit transforms fear from an obstacle into a guide, helping you consistently take bold actions that accelerate growth and expand possibility. 7. The seventh habit is visualization, the practice of mentally rehearsing success and desired outcomes in a detailed and emotionally charged way. Visualization is not daydreaming, it is a focused, deliberate, and repeated mental exercise that conditions the brain to perform as if the desired outcome is already achievable. Olympic athletes, elite performers, and high achievers use this habit to rewire neural pathways associated with skill, confidence, and preparation. When you visualize your goals with sensory detail and emotional intensity, your brain begins to encode them as achievable reality. This strengthens motivation, enhances problem-solving ability, and reduces internal resistance to challenging tasks. Over time, visualization aligns subconscious beliefs with conscious intentions, making actions consistent with your highest aspirations and effectively rewiring your mindset for success. 8. The eighth habit is cultivating emotional regulation, which is the ability to consciously respond to challenges, stress, and conflict rather than react impulsively. Uncontrolled emotions distort thinking, reinforce limiting beliefs, and erode mental clarity. Practicing emotional regulation involves awareness, reflection, and deliberate strategies such as deep breathing, reframing, or pausing before acting. This habit rewires your mindset because it teaches the brain that you are the master of your responses, not a slave to transient feelings. Over time, you develop resilience, composure, and the mental space necessary to make strategic decisions. This is critical for rewiring your mindset because it transforms emotional reactivity into deliberate, empowered action. 9. The ninth habit is surrounding yourself with growth-oriented influences, including people, media, and environments that reinforce positive thinking and high standards. Your brain is highly adaptable and absorbs the attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors of those around you. By intentionally choosing relationships and inputs that challenge you, inspire you, and hold you accountable, you create a mental ecosystem conducive to growth. This habit rewires your mindset by continually reinforcing productive patterns of thinking, while reducing exposure to negativity, limiting beliefs, or habits of mediocrity. The people and information you immerse yourself in serve as mirrors and amplifiers of the mindset you are trying to cultivate. 10. The 10th habit is taking deliberate action, the consistent practice of translating thought, insight, and intention into behavior. Knowledge, reflection, and strategy are meaningless without action. The brain is rewired through repetition, and each act of purposeful effort strengthens neural pathways associated with capability, confidence, and growth. By consistently choosing to act, even in the face of fear, uncertainty, or doubt, you teach your mind that results are earned through effort, not hope. Over time, this habit forms the backbone of a rewired mindset, transforming abstract potential into measurable achievement, and creating a life where your actions and identity are aligned with your highest goals. Point 11. The 11th habit is the deliberate practice of reframing challenges, which means seeing obstacles not as threats but as opportunities to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Most people encounter difficulties and immediately label them as failures or reasons to give up, reinforcing a mindset of scarcity and limitation. But the mind that is being rewired understands that every challenge carries hidden lessons and untapped potential. By consistently asking, "What can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger?" you create neural pathways that link adversity with growth instead of fear. Over time, reframing becomes automatic, transforming stressful situations into sources of creativity, problem-solving, and opportunity. This habit rewires your brain to recognize potential in places where others only see barriers and, as a result, builds confidence, courage, and the mental flexibility necessary for long-term success. 12. The 12th habit is conscious self-talk, which involves monitoring and actively shaping the internal dialogue that defines your reality. Your thoughts are powerful. They influence your emotions, shape your behavior, and ultimately determine your outcomes. A mind that has been rewired pays attention to this inner voice, catching limiting beliefs like "I'm not good enough" or "I can't handle this," and replacing them with constructive affirmations such as "I am capable of growth" or "This challenge is making me stronger." This habit is more than positivity. It is a strategic mental intervention that reshapes neural connections. Over time, your inner dialogue becomes a consistent source of motivation and strength, reinforcing habits of persistence, resilience, and self-belief, and solidifying a mindset designed for success. 13. The 13th habit is practicing deliberate reflection, which is the intentional examination of your actions, choices, and patterns to understand what is working, what is not, and how you can improve. Reflection is not casual thinking. It requires honesty, structure, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about yourself. By setting aside time regularly to assess your progress, identify recurring mistakes, and celebrate small victories, you train your mind to think critically and strategically. This habit rewires your mindset by making you more aware of internal patterns, reducing the likelihood of repeating destructive behaviors, and enhancing your capacity for intelligent decision-making. Over time, reflection transforms experience into wisdom, creating a feedback loop that accelerates personal growth and reinforces a forward-moving mindset. 14. The 14th habit is setting and enforcing high standards, which requires refusing to accept mediocrity in any area of your life. Most people adapt their expectations to fit comfort rather than pushing toward excellence. But a mind that is being rewired recognizes that standards are the invisible scaffolding for behavior. By demanding discipline, quality, and integrity from yourself daily, you teach your brain to operate at a higher level. Every choice, action, and response becomes aligned with excellence, and over time, these reinforced patterns rewire your neural pathways, making high performance the default mode of operation. This habit strengthens both character and capability, creating a mindset where achievement becomes natural rather than forced. 15. The 15th habit is practicing deliberate optimism, the choice to focus on possibilities and solutions rather than problems and limitations. Optimism is not naive wishfulness, it is an intentional mental framework that strengthens resilience, fosters creativity, and reduces stress. By consistently looking for opportunities in difficulty, lessons in failure, and potential in uncertainty, you train your brain to react proactively rather than reactively. Over time, deliberate optimism rewires your mindset to see challenges as manageable, setbacks as temporary, and growth as inevitable, creating a mental environment where confident, effective action is possible even in the face of adversity. 16. The 16th habit is engaging in regular physical movement, which is often overlooked but profoundly impacts mindset. Exercise releases neurotransmitters like dopamine and endorphins, improving mood, reducing stress, and increasing cognitive function. A mind that is being rewired understands that the body and brain are deeply interconnected. By prioritizing physical activity, you enhance mental clarity, emotional stability, and resilience. Consistent movement strengthens the brain's capacity for focus, reduces mental fatigue, and reinforces the belief that effort produces results, both physically and mentally. This habit integrates the principle of action with physiological support, making your mind more adaptable, energetic, and capable of sustained growth. 17. The 17th habit is cultivating curiosity, which involves approaching life with a sense of wonder, inquiry, and openness to learning from every experience. Curiosity rewires the brain by encouraging exploration, flexibility, and continuous adaptation. When you ask questions, seek deeper understanding, and challenge assumptions, you create mental pathways that support innovation, problem-solving, and growth-oriented thinking. This habit prevents stagnation and encourages a mindset that thrives on possibilities rather than fears. Over time, curiosity becomes an ingrained mental state, shaping your perception of challenges as opportunities to expand your knowledge, refine your skills, and grow your perspective. 18. The 18th habit is intentional environment design, which means surrounding yourself with people, spaces, and stimuli that reinforce the mindset you want to develop. The brain is highly influenced by external cues. Environments that are chaotic, negative, or complacent reinforce limiting beliefs, whereas environments that are structured, positive, and growth-oriented enhance focus, motivation, and optimism. By intentionally curating your surroundings through supportive relationships, inspiring content, organized spaces, and accountability systems, you create a fertile mental landscape for rewiring thought patterns. This habit ensures that your external world consistently supports, rather than undermines, your internal growth, accelerating your transformation and reinforcing positive neural pathways. 19. The 19th habit is practicing strategic patience, which is the ability to persist toward long-term goals without being derailed by short-term setbacks or immediate gratification. The brain is wired for instant reward, but meaningful growth requires consistent effort over time. A mind that is being rewired learns to delay gratification, endure discomfort, and maintain focus even when immediate results are invisible. By practicing patience strategically, trusting the process, committing to repetition, and valuing progress over speed, you strengthen neural pathways associated with self-control, resilience, and long-term planning. This habit transforms frustration and doubt into endurance, allowing your mindset to thrive under the slow but inevitable march of progress. 20. The 20th habit is taking deliberate, consistent action, which is the ultimate bridge between mindset and results. Awareness, reflection, gratitude, optimism, and learning are all powerful, but without action they remain theoretical. The brain is rewired through repeated, intentional behavior. Each deliberate step toward your goals reinforces new mental patterns and strengthens belief in your capability. Over time, consistent action teaches your mind that effort produces tangible results, fear can be managed, and growth is inevitable when persistence is applied. This habit synthesizes all other habits into lived experience, creating a mindset that is not only theoretically growth-oriented but practically unstoppable, transforming insight into achievement and potential into measurable success. 21. The 21st habit is embracing failure as feedback, which is the deliberate choice to see mistakes and setbacks not as proof of inadequacy but as essential information for growth. Most people avoid risk because they fear failure, but the mind that is being rewired understands that every failure carries a lesson and every setback provides an opportunity to adjust, improve, and advance. By consistently analyzing what went wrong, extracting lessons, and applying them immediately, you transform failure into a tool for accelerated learning. This habit rewires neural pathways to associate challenges with insight rather than fear, making resilience automatic and persistence habitual. Over time, this perspective shift reduces anxiety, strengthens self-confidence, and creates a mental environment where experimentation, innovation, and growth become natural rather than risky. 22. The 22nd habit is building a morning routine, which is a deliberate structure designed to prime your mind for focus, energy, and clarity throughout the day. Your brain is most plastic in the first hours after waking, which makes this time ideal for establishing the habits that will rewire your mindset. A morning routine that includes intentional practices such as reflection, gratitude, exercise, visualization, or learning sets the tone for productivity and emotional stability. Over weeks and months, these consistent actions condition your brain to respond to challenges with calmness, clarity, and confidence. The repetition of positive behaviors first thing in the day strengthens neural pathways associated with discipline, resilience, and growth-oriented thinking, ensuring that your mind starts each day aligned with your highest goals and intentions. 23. The 23rd habit is setting clear, measurable goals that provide direction, motivation, and accountability for your growth journey. Goals act as a compass, allowing your mind to focus attention on what truly matters instead of being distracted by trivial or reactive decisions. A mind that is being rewired not only sets goals but breaks them into actionable steps, tracks progress, and adjusts strategies when necessary. This structured approach trains the brain to associate planning with achievement, reinforcing confidence and mental clarity. Over time, consistently pursuing well-defined goals strengthens executive function, decision-making ability, and perseverance, making the process of improvement deliberate, measurable, and highly effective. 24. The 24th habit is developing mental resilience through controlled exposure to discomfort and adversity. Growth is rarely linear, and the mind that is prepared for setbacks thrives under pressure while others crumble. By intentionally placing yourself in challenging situations, whether through physical, emotional, or intellectual demands, you train your neural circuits to respond with focus, problem solving, and composure instead of fear or avoidance. Over time, repeated exposure to manageable stress rewires the brain to handle uncertainty with confidence, transforming obstacles into opportunities and fear into fuel for action. Mental resilience becomes an ingrained capability, ensuring that your mindset remains adaptable and strong no matter what life throws your way. 25. The 25th habit is cultivating a learning mindset, which involves seeking knowledge continuously and embracing curiosity in all areas of life. A fixed mindset limits growth by assuming that abilities are static, whereas a learning mindset views intelligence, skills, and potential as expandable. By reading, exploring, asking questions, and practicing new skills daily, you create neural pathways that support cognitive flexibility, problem solving, and creative thinking. This habit rewires your mindset to view challenges as opportunities for discovery and setbacks as temporary steps in a larger process of mastery. Over time, a learning mindset ensures that growth becomes habitual, curiosity becomes instinctive, and your brain becomes wired to seek improvement automatically. 26. The 26th habit is practicing deliberate patience, the ability to tolerate delayed results without losing focus, motivation, or confidence. The brain is wired to seek instant gratification, which can undermine long-term goals, but a rewired mindset learns to delay impulses in favor of higher outcomes. By consistently choosing sustained effort over immediate comfort, your neural pathways begin to associate patience with reward, persistence with success, and self-control with growth. Over time, deliberate patience strengthens your ability to remain committed to long-term objectives, reduces impulsive behavior, and cultivates the mental fortitude necessary for achieving complex, ambitious goals. 27. The 27th habit is mindfulness meditation, which is the intentional practice of observing thoughts, emotions, and sensations without judgment. Mindfulness strengthens awareness, reduces reactivity, and creates space between stimulus and response, allowing for conscious decision-making rather than impulsive reaction. Regular practice rewires the brain by enhancing attention, emotional regulation, and cognitive flexibility. A rewired mindset cultivated through mindfulness is calmer, more focused, and better able to navigate stress, uncertainty, and complexity. Over time, this practice creates a stable mental foundation that supports every other growth habit, reinforcing the neural circuits necessary for sustained improvement. 28. The 28th habit is embracing accountability, which is the consistent practice of holding yourself responsible for your actions, decisions, and results. A rewired mindset understands that blaming external circumstances or other people for outcomes undermines growth and reinforces learned helplessness. By tracking commitments, reporting progress, and evaluating outcomes honestly, you train the brain to accept responsibility as empowering rather than burdensome. Accountability strengthens self-discipline, increases focus, and ensures consistent action. Over time, this habit cultivates integrity, resilience, and confidence, creating a mental framework where ownership of your life becomes automatic. 29. The 29th habit is practicing strategic reflection, which involves regularly reviewing your actions, thought patterns, and emotional responses to identify areas for improvement. Unlike casual introspection, strategic reflection is structured, deliberate, and solution-focused. By analyzing what worked, what didn't, and why, you create neural pathways that reinforce adaptive thinking, problem-solving, and conscious decision-making. Over time, this habit rewires your mindset to continuously optimize performance, anticipate challenges, and respond proactively to change. Strategic reflection transforms experience into wisdom, accelerating growth and deepening self-awareness. 30. The 30th habit is cultivating self-compassion alongside high standards, recognizing that while growth requires effort, mistakes and setbacks are inevitable. A mind that is being rewired does not respond to errors with harsh criticism but with understanding, learning, and renewed commitment. By balancing accountability with self-kindness, you reduce anxiety, prevent burnout, and sustain long-term improvement. This habit rewires neural circuits to see challenges as learning opportunities rather than threats, enabling you to persist, adapt, and achieve higher levels of personal and professional growth without being trapped by fear or self-doubt.